In our previous video, we were talking about divorce and the pitfalls of divorce, as well as the drama that can come. But what can we do to mitigate some of that drama? What can we do to offset some of that, to be able to feel comfortable in our own skin, to not be too fearful, to not be too anxious? In our last video, we really talked about, the anxiety that's there, the stress, the drama. But, how do we do divorce without drama? Because that's a big question, right?
Let's talk about it. And, as coaches, we are all about solutions. Like, life will throw problems at you regardless of what you're doing. But coaching is very solutions oriented. I'm a former divorce attorney. One of the reasons that I was like, I would rather be a coach than an attorney is because as the lawyer, you can't really focus on lasting lifestyle solutions. All you can focus on the legal problems. So, starting from the top, how to divorce without drama. First of all, live your true life. Develop a clear picture of your desired future. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when people get into marriages, they're making the decision based on boxes that they think need to be checked, family expectations, a biological clock, all things that aren't necessarily bad, but they're not rooted in the truth about who you are and how you want to live. So step number one in how to divorce with drama is get a clear picture about the future, one that excites you and makes it easy to let go of the past as opposed to clinging onto it for stability.
I totally agree with you on that. And having that clear picture of your reality separate from that other person. Because I think that when we're coupled up, we have to decouple correctly. And it's to understand our identity, to understand what makes us tick, what we really want. And that's something that most people don't do at all. So most of us never ask ourselves the big questions of what we want in life. I know that many people put their life on the back burner, whether it's the children, the spouse. And so asking those questions and really looking at the really tough questions, because sometimes we didn't look at that because we feel if we look at those questions, maybe we're being selfish, maybe we're being self-centered, maybe we're being narcissistic. Also, some of us just don't even know what we want because we've never put it out there. It's always been about someone else. So really being able to see that roadmap. Where do I want to be in 2 years? How does this look? What can I do to cultivate a lifestyle where I feel comfortable in my own skin, where I feel safe and secure, where I can be on my own and eventually meet somebody. But right now, I really need to get things clear and understood before I put myself out there, not really taking on my own identity.
Yeah. And another piece, just tagging off what you just said, is also just believing that you're worthy of what you want. So many people, they self-sabotage, and it's rooted in a lack of feeling worthy and deserving of goodness, of abundance, of success, of health, of, money, whatever it is. And so also doing the work, if that's something you need, to just unpack those beliefs that might have told you, like, you're not worthy of that. Who do you think you are? Like, now's the time. Divorce is the ending, but it's also the beginning of a new chapter in your life story, and you can write it however you want, so be bold. The next hot tip that I have for how to divorce that drama is be grateful for the good. So many times people get divorced and they just want to talk all the shit about all the things that were just so awful. And, not to be super woo-woo, but it's just very low vibrational and attracts more negativity towards you. So rather than do that, even though it may feel good in the moment, focus on the good. How has your life been impacted for the better as a result of this marriage? Do you have memories? Do you have connections? Have you had children? Was there travel? Focus on what was good. And, if you really want to take it to the next level, write a letter to your spouse about the ways that they have improved the quality of your life permanently. And even if you think that your spouse is the worst person to walk the face of the earth, I guarantee you that there's at least one thing that you can be grateful for. So choose to focus on that instead of just basking in the negativity. I know that in the moment it can feel kind of gratifying to be the victim, but you're not the victim. You're writing a new chapter in your life story, and to do that, you've got to be grateful for what was good in the past.
I agree with that. And, and I've actually seen it, in my work where we've actually gotten over that hump and been able to be somewhat friends with the ex-spouse. And even some good friends, depending on it, if you're able to see him or her as a good parent and being there and being appropriate with that and allowing them to have the time with the kids and being able to appreciate that. Seeing those times that were good. And you're right, even if it's somebody you just don't even like anymore, there has to be something from it.
Yeah.
And because also when we degrade the relationship to the to the fullest extent, we're degrading all that time as well. And that's like for some of us it's 20 years, 25 years, 30 years of time, and I don't want to see that, because those 30 years were not all for naught. So looking at it from that perspective, and I think also a lot of times when we're able to do this, we don't make someone the complete enemy, but we're also respectful of ourselves. We can also kind of end this in a more rational way, but in a more accepting way. Because there's a reason why you married this person for that long, okay? There's a reason why you're in that relationship for that long. And I think also out of respect for yourself, being compassionate and taking that higher ground as much as possible. And I know that there's some divorces that you have someone that might be operating from a different place, a different psychological place of mind, maybe more narcissistic or other different points there, that it's very, very challenging, and that can really push someone's boundaries. But those are those extreme circumstances. But when they do happen, again, it's hard to divide up from their manipulation tactics and their gaslighting, but trying to really focus on you and saying, hey, I'm going to get through this. This isn't going to last forever. And I think that's another point, too, is not looking at it as a forever thing, just knowing each day I'm going to uncouple from this and divorce over time, and things will get eventually better.
Yeah. And just remembering that this is all about divorcing without drama, and being clear on how do you want to show up through this process. Do you want to be proud of the person that you were through your divorce? Okay, well then, you've got to let go of the past. You've got to have a clear vision of the future, walk towards it. You've got to be grateful for what was good. Mm-hmm. And then, the next thing is you need to broaden your toolkit. So what happens when you divorce is that it's like a death, and I say it's like a death only because in a lot of ways it's so much worse than a death. We all know that death is a part of life. Well, divorce is the death of a dream. So our expectation for dreams is that they'll be fulfilled, that we'll see them come true. And so when that expectation isn't met, we experience pain. Whether the dream is about a business, whether the dream is about a relationship, whether the dream is about a child, anything in life where you have an expectation and you put a lot of energy towards it and then it doesn't work out, you get upset. If you are into Buddhism at all, what I'm describing is the second noble truth about the cause of suffering is unmet expectations, and I'm paraphrasing. So you need to broaden your toolkit, and you need to develop tools that help you, when you're at a 10, de-escalate to a 2. And so for me, 2 tools that I am very enthusiastic about, and I'm talking about all the time, are meditation and visualization. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of different types of meditations. There's meditations for happiness, meditations for forgiveness. There are womb clearing meditations, which literally are just releasing trauma energetically from your womb space. There is an ancient Hawaiian meditation called Ho'oponopono that I'm a huge fan of, and that literally is a forgiveness meditation to help you forgive yourself and those around you. There's Om Namah Shivaya is a mantra that you can use during meditations, and but the point is, pick one that works for you. Everyone's different. I don't care which one you pick, but pick, you can just meditate using your breath, whatever. But pick something that teaches you how to calm your mind and control your mind, and something you can use throughout the day. And then visualization, we've already talked about getting a clear picture for the future, but really, do the exercise of seeing yourself being, doing, having what you want, and feeling the feelings. If you listen to interviews with like Jim Carrey or Steve Harvey or Oprah, they all saw themselves being who they are today long before it happened. And there's a lot of power in putting feeling behind the pictures that you see in your mind. So use those to your advantage. I know I'm talking a lot. Sorry, was it?
No, that's great. And visualizing is very important, and does meditation too as well. Because we want to try to calm ourselves. We want to be in the best space we can. And when we are calmer, when we're not anxious, we can think clearly, we can make better decisions, and we can understand where people are coming from. We also get out of our own headspace, and we can be more observant. And that's a big deal, especially in divorce. And if you're divorcing someone that might be manipulating or gaslighting you to some degree, it's good to be able to see where they're coming from and what's driving them, instead of being wrapped up in the emotion and getting pulled into their emotion. Because once that happens, we're no longer operating from where we need to operate from.
Yeah. Another big one, and how to divorce without drama. Have a professional outlet, please, other than your friends. Your friends love you and they want to help you and they feel bad for you. But if your friends are not trained in how to deal with trauma and grief and how to process of emotions, how to forgive and how to let go, they're listening to you could potentially do more harm than good, number one. And then number two, if your friends are people with healthy boundaries, eventually they're going to stop taking your call, because what you're doing when you're calling to talk about all the craziness, his new girlfriend, is called trauma dumping. And so what you're being an energy vampire, and people with healthy boundaries are not going to put up with it for an extended period of time, which isn't, to scare you, but it's just to say, think about who is going to constantly take your call when you're calling an event. It's going to be that person who loves the drama, who's a little bit toxic themselves, and probably isn't the best influence when you are needing to heal. So I know it's a financial investment, but hire a coach, hire a therapist, hire someone with some experience in what you're going through, because it's kind of like walking down a dark hallway. You want someone who can hand you a flashlight, right? As opposed to someone who's just like, oh, hope you don't stub your toe. So have somebody who can hold your hand and guide you through what is a dark and scary time. And again, help you show up as that person you want to be, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I was a basket case and I just called my friends all the time and I would just cry. I mean, I have a mentor in my life who's, an amazing, solid person, but during her divorce, she literally had a couple of friends, and she said this one time she called one of them and she just cried for 3 hours straight, right? Like, and it's like, how many times can you do that before,
Well, and I agree with you, and we'll do another video here soon on some other tips and tricks on health and wellness throughout the divorce process. But, your friends can only give you the advice that they can give you based on their own personal experience. If somebody hasn't had personal experience with something, they don't understand it. They don't. They can only tell you what they think. They can only kind of help out. Now, if somebody has had experience, they're going to come from their experience. Now, remember also, our friends, they want certain things for us. They're not a neutral party. So, you never know where they stand with your soon-to-be ex as well. Okay, we don't know that. They might just be your friend, but again, like Diane was saying, we have to be really careful that if somebody does have quality boundaries, they're not going to want to hear it all the time. But also, there's going to be some things that you probably wish you didn't tell them. There's going to be some things that you can't rewind and play record. And there's some things that you probably want to keep to yourself. And so when you are dealing with a professional, a coach in the situation, this is all confidential. And so this is all stuff that you can say without worrying about what somebody thinks about what you said or how they're judging what you're saying. And again, it really goes back to knowledge base. If someone doesn't have the knowledge to help you, they can't honestly help you. They can tell you things, maybe they're telling you what you want to hear, but that can also set you up too. Because remember, if somebody's telling you what you want to hear and you go in and you meet with your lawyer and this is not something that you can do, this isn't feasible, this isn't even going to be passed, and you can't even get this done in this state, that's not what you need. You need somebody that's going to really help you and be appropriate in that, but also that's going to give you the right advice for you to be able to stay stable and also not lose your friends. And so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. We'll return more in a following last video on how to take the drama out of divorce by really talking about the health side, our wellness, and our physical bodies as well. So stay tuned. Don't miss that video. And in the meantime, don't forget to live your true life.